functions.
Write its growth model as region courts new capital. And over on the global stage, Ukraine gets creditor support for $2.6 billion debt swap aimed at reducing post-war financial pressures. Stay tuned as we unpack these stories and more right after the break.
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the QMAX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why QMAX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
The local news is brought to you by Derriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments.
Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with a powerful message from the Development Bank of Jamaica, DBJ. As Jamaica rebuilds in the wake of Hurricane Melissa, the DBJ says the country's ability to attract a serious capital will depend on whether it can hold the line on strong internationally aligned standards. Speaking with CBX News at the 21st staging of the Jamaica Stock Exchange's Best Practices Awards recently, DBJ Managing Director Dr. David Lowe stressed that even after a major climate shock, Jamaica must project strength, stability, and predictability.
I think we have to continue to let everyone know that Jamaica is still investable. We went through an unfortunate climate event. We're now in the point of establishing a rebuilding program, and it has to be business as usual. But business as usual means standards need to be set. We need to recognize those outstanding participants in the capital market, and we have to also remind everyone that standards are the essence of any market. Confidence not just for local investors, but standards and confidence for international investors. So that's how I would look at it.
Dr. Lowe explained that the DBJ has now woven best practices directly into its corporate strategy.
I would say that the development bank, first and foremost, must be an important pillar of government to support the capacity to execute developmental plans. Now, developmental plans are very complex. You have aspects of capital markets, so we play an important role in providing liquidity support to banks, microfinance to allow them to fund small businesses, even micro businesses, but generally to make concessionary funding possible and then supported by capacity building. So that's how I think we'd play a role in terms of this engagement. And they're all market participants too.
That was Managing Director for the Development Bank of Jamaica, Dr. David Lowe. The Jamaica Stock Exchange is already shaping 2026 into a milestone year, with a slate of initiatives designed to widen market access, deepen financial expertise, and position Jamaica as a stronger regional investment hub. CEO Livingston Morrison told CBX News that the JSE will open the new year with a major push into government securities training, giving everyday investors and market professionals sharper tools to navigate fixed income products, a category poised for growth as Jamaica enters its reconstruction cycle.
No, 2026 is going to be a very interesting year for us. It is our intention to bring to the investing public trading in government securities. So that's big for the first quarter of 2026.
But he says the flagship moment arrives next January when the JSE Investments and Capital Markets Conference returns with new firepower.
In addition to that, the staples are on. The third week of January, you know what happens in the third week. It's our regional capital market conference. The speakers are lining up. The companies are lining up to participate. It's going to be very, very exciting. Just today I got confirmation that some colleagues from Central America will be here. So an opportunity to, start looking at how we open Central America and South America to our investing community. So some exciting things line up for the first half of the year. And of course, we are looking at our stakeholder engagement practices. So we're going to be really pushing hard during the first quarter of next year to get in touch with our stakeholders, develop a deeper understanding as to what is top of mind for them and how we can best serve their capital formation needs.
That was CEO of the Jamaica Stock Exchange, Livingston Morrison. Wigton Energy is signaling a renewed push to expand Jamaica's renewable base as the company sharpens its long-term strategy amid rising energy costs and volatile global fuel markets. In a recent interview with CBX News, Wigton's CEO Gary Barrow argued that Jamaica's heavy reliance on imported petroleum continues to expose the economy to global shocks, and that scaling wind and solar generation is now a competitiveness issue, not just an environmental one.
We recognize that the future of energy is in renewables. It is so important. It's such an important part of our energy mix. We have an abundance of wind. We have an abundance of sun. So we want to rely, less on imported fossil fuel. And so I think Wigton plays a pivotal role in driving that transition to renewable energy, and I know the rest of Jamaica is very interested in really sharing with that ultimate objective. And in addition to ultimately driving down the cost of energy, it results in just your children and your children's children breathing cleaner air. So I think ultimately that is really our goal.
That was CEO of Wigton Energy Limited, Gary Barrow. In other news, Kintyre Holdings JA Limited is accelerating its regional real estate ambitions with 2 new property acquisitions, one in Discovery Bay St. Anne and another in the upscale 5 Islands development in Trinidad and Tobago. The combined value tops $1 million, pushing the company's total real estate holdings to over 350 million Jamaican dollars across the group. These newly acquired assets will anchor the company's next major venture, the launch of the Kintyre Real Estate Investments Trust, or Kintyre REIT. The REIT, to be established through a special purpose vehicle, will operate independently of parallel real estate ventures and focus on acquiring, developing, and managing income-generating rental properties across Jamaica, the Caribbean, and North America. Kintyre says the REIT is being structured to deliver long-term, stable returns for investors, driven by rental income and asset appreciation. And in a move aligned with global REIT standards, the board is expected to approve a dividend policy requiring at least 80% of profits to be paid out to shareholders. We move to the latest updates from the JSE equities. In Tuesday's trading session, the JSE market activity resulted in the trading of 105 stocks, of which 47 advanced, 41 declined, and 17 traded firm. Leading the winners are Stanley Motor Ordinary Shares, Mayberry Jamaican Equities, Cygnus Real Estate Financial JMD, and Margaritaville Turks, while leading the losers are Pulse, to close at 312,190.83 points. The junior market index advanced by 17.73 points or 0.54% to close at 3,282.74 points.
Market education feature brought to you by Caricris, regional ratings, global standard.
In today's market education feature, we will be discussing earnings before tax, or EBT. Earnings before tax, EBT, is a financial performance metric that removes the effect of taxes, making it easier to compare a company's underlying performance with peers operating in different tax jurisdictions. EBT is determined by deducting all expenses other than taxes from a company's total revenue. It is reported as a line item on a public company's income statement. This metric is also known as pre-tax income, profit before tax, or income before income taxes. All companies determine EBT in the same way, and it is considered a pure ratio because it relies solely on figures taken from the income statement.
The market education feature was brought to you by Caricris, regional ratings, global standards.
And that's it for the local news segment. Please stay with us. The regional news is up next.
News is brought to you by Darriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments.
Are so much book you need for high school?
I'll show you how to make sure you have all the money for my books and even some extra. It's called budgeting, Dad. Making a budget is the most important thing you can do to track your money. It keeps a record of how much you make, how much you spend, where you spend it, and most importantly, how much you can save. Write down all your income, write down all your expenses, see where you can cut down and allot more money to more important things, like saving.
Your garden coming along well.
Thanks, man. You know, it's a long time I've been working at it.
I can see that. I saw your mail by the gate, so I picked it up for you. But tell me something, why are you still receiving dividend checks by mail?
What do you mean about that?
You need to give JCSD a mandate.
You know, me hear about the mandate them. I'm going over there right now.
A mandate means giving instructions to the Jamaica Central Securities Depository Limited, JCSD, relating to the handling of your dividend or interest payment. There are 3 types of mandates: The first is a bank mandate. The second is a hold mandate. Lastly, we have what we call a third-party mandate, with which the investor may wish to send their dividend or interest to someone other than the parties on their account or institution of their choice.
Welcome back. And now for the regional business news. Executive Secretary of ECLAC, Jose Manuel Salazar Sirinash, says the region can no longer rely on traditional development paths and must instead build mission-driven economic strategies that integrate climate resilience, technology, financing, and social inclusion. The message comes as the Caribbean Development and Cooperation Committee, CDCC, marks its 50th year, with policymakers warning that the Caribbean's ability to attract capital, unlock new markets, and accelerate diversification depends on how quickly it reshapes its economic architecture. Salazar Sirinash argued that the region's vulnerabilities, high debt, climate exposure, and small domestic markets will only be overcome through innovative financing, South-to-South partnerships, and digital integration, which can lower costs, expand trade corridors, and improve competitiveness. CDCC Chair and Trinidad and Tobago Planning Minister Kennedy Swarat Singh reinforced the point, noting that the Caribbean has proven its influence on the global stage, but must now leverage that momentum to drive a structural transformation and improve investment readiness across member states. He said South-to-South cooperation is emerging as a strategic tool to widen access to climate finance, reform outdated systems, expand human capital, and unlock opportunities for Caribbean firms. We now move to news from Anguilla. Premier Cora Richardson Hodge has confirmed that the government is in early discussions with 3 international institutions to design at least 2 sovereign wealth funds for Anguilla. Speaking during a government press conference on Monday, the plan is to build at least 2 funds, one dedicated to disaster resilience and a second designed with interest earnings to help fund priorities such as education and other critical social programs.
There were three organizations or 3 entities we have met with. One was out of Canada, the other one would have been out of the UK. But they both have a long history of established wealth funds. We also met with a private bank in terms of the Sovereign Wealth Fund. But I think that bank may have been more focused in terms of estate planning rather than a sovereign wealth fund structure. But in terms of the others that we spoke about, yes, they all conduct sovereign wealth funds for other countries. Some more than others, meaning that there are particular institutions that have more sovereign wealth funds, and they have ideas in terms of how we can certainly create the structures.
That was Premier of Anguilla, Cora Richardson Hodge. In other news, Grenadian importers, manufacturers, and distributors are now on the clock as Parliament has approved a customs amendment bill to roll out a new CARICOM common external tariff from January 1, 2026. Minister for Social and Community Development Philip Tellisford says the amendment updates Grenada's Customs Act to give legal effect to the revised CARICOM tariff schedule and formally designates the Finance Minister as the competent authority to administer, adjust, or temporarily suspend tariff rates in line with regional decisions.
The common external tariff, the rules of origin set out in this CET shall be applied to goods and do not qualify for community origin treatment. It also provides that the minister shall be the competent authority for the administration of the CET, and may, in keeping with the relevant determinations of quoted, alter or suspend the common external tariff with respect to any item by order. Clause 3, Madam Deputy Speaker. Section 1, the common external tariff shall be the common external tariff as established by order.
That was Grenada's Minister for Social and Community Development, Philip Telesford. It's now time for news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 23 securities, of which 6 advanced, 4 declined, and 13 traded firm. Today's winners are National Flour Mills, A.S. Bryden & Sons Holdings, Trinidad and Tobago NGL, and Angostura Holdings, while leading the losers are Massey Holdings, Scotiabank Trinidad and Tobago, the West Indian Tobacco Company, and Republic Financial Holdings. Trading activity resulted in the following movements. The All-TNT Index declined by 8.47 points to close at 1,351.51. The Composite Index declined by 4.41 points to close at 937.39. The Cross-Listed Index remained at 69.17. The SME Index also remained at 94.31. And we take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment is up next.
It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Don't ever, ever, ever wanna calm down. No, no, no. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Welcome back. In international news, Ukraine scored a major victory in its debt reconstructing on Tuesday, winning crucial support from its ad hoc creditor group for a $2.6 billion swap of GDP-linked warrants into new step-up bonds. The agreement marks a turning point in Kyiv's effort to eliminate a legacy instrument that could cost billions annually once post-war reconstruction begins. The new bonds will carry interest rising from 4% to 7.25%, plus up to $180 million in cash for early approval. Creditor objections over legal protections were resolved, with the group calling the revised terms significantly improved. Ukraine extended the early consent deadline to December 15. The Finance Ministry said the deal is essential to restoring debt sustainability, and the IMF and the group of creditors of Ukraine have reviewed the proposal. Warrants ticked up to $100.05 following the announcement. While Ukraine moves closer to repairing its balance sheet, one of Europe's largest economies is showing resilience of its own. France's economy is set to grow 0.2% in Q4, the Bank of France said Tuesday, supported by stronger than expected industrial activity, even as political gridlock continues to grip the country. The performance keeps France on track to meet or exceed its 0.8% growth target for 2025. A survey of 8,500 firms showed industrial output beating long-term averages for a sixth straight month, driven by computer, electronics, and optical goods production. The agro, food, and automotive sectors also strengthened, though services and construction remain flat. Businesses expect industrial growth to persist into December, though at a slower pace. We move to the United States, where a turnaround story in healthcare retail continues to strengthen. CVS Health delivered an upbeat outlook on Tuesday, projecting 2026 earnings above Wall Street expectations and raising its 2025 profit forecast for the fourth time. The company's sweeping turnaround under CEO David Joyner, including cost cuts, exits from weak markets, and leadership changes, has pushed shares up more than 70% this year. CVS now expects 2026 EPS of $7 to $7.20, ahead of consensus at the midpoint. Revenue, however, is forecast to reach up to $400 billion, below the $419 billion analysts expected. Growth will come from improving margins at Aetna and Caremark, while CVS prepares to exit Obamacare plans in 2026. The company also unveiled a new consumer app designed to integrate services and drive new revenue streams. And finally, we go to the commodities markets, where silver shattered a historic milestone. Silver surged to an all-time high above $60 per ounce on Tuesday, jumping 4.3% amid tightening supplies and booming industrial demand from sectors including solar power, EVs, data centers, and AI infrastructure. Gold, on the other hand, rose 0.6% to $4,211, supported by expectations of a Fed rate cut this week. Analysts say silver's deficit-driven rally could continue, with forecast of $70 per ounce by early 2026. Traders now see an 87% chance of a 25 basis point rate cut on Wednesday. And that's it for the international segment of the newscast. The news recap is coming up on the other side of the break.
Me grew up and see my granny and save her money under her mattress.
Exactly. Okay. Your grandmother house never burned down?
No, how you reached that, so? That was a one-off thing.
That could have happened to anybody. That's why you must put your money in a financial institution and protect it.
What if the bank crash?
Well, that's where JDIC comes in.
What you mean?
JDIC is a financial safety net which provides coverage for your money in case your financial institution fails.
Explain that to me.
All right. Because of the JDIC deposit insurance scheme, once you put your money into a financial institution like a bank or building society, you can get coverage of up to a maximum of $1.2 million per deposit of your financial institution if it should fail. And for even more information, you can visit their new website at www.jdic.org, and you can follow the social media platforms for the latest information.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
In the local news, DBJ head says Jamaica's investability hinges on strong standards. Regionally, ECLAC urges Caribbean to rewrite growth model, and internationally, Ukraine secures creditor support for $2.6 billion debt swap. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Rochelle Moncrief. Thanks for watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.